Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. Everton have announced that Graeme Sharp, former Everton player Graeme Sharp, has been appointed to the board of directors. Sharp has been appointed as a non-executive director and will join the board immediately. We're going to sit down in today's video and talk about it really. Talk about why Graeme Sharp has all of a sudden been appointed as a director of Everton Football Club, whether it makes sense, whether it doesn't make sense, the reasons behind it, the thoughts and feelings of a lot of Evertonians on social media who aren't necessarily happy with this appointment and again don't really necessarily understand the reasons for it. And we're just going to have a little bit of a discussion about it. But first and foremost, before we go into that, let's hear what Graeme Sharp has had to say about this appointment. So this was announced earlier on this afternoon, and Graeme Sharp has said, "This club is in my blood. I have enjoyed many great days as a Blue, and joining the board and being able to play a part in shaping Everton's future is one of the greatest honours of all." He said, "I look forward to working with my fellow board members and take my responsibility as a custodian of our great club very seriously." Everton did release a statement announcing this and talking about Graeme Sharp's history with the football club, and that statement did include the following words from Chairman Bill Kenwright: "We were determined to have somebody join us with not only great knowledge of Everton but also extensive football insight and experience, someone who could support and challenge," key phrase there, and challenge, and in Sharpie's case we have got this in abundance. So yeah, there you go. Very positive words there from Bill Kenwright regarding the appointment. Graeme Sharp, as you can imagine, extremely happy to have joined the Everton board of directors. And Bill Kenwright is right. Graeme Sharp is somebody that knows the football club, understands the way in which the football club works, and has been around the football club for a long, long time. Obviously, was a part of those teams in the 80s that were so successful. Fantastic goal scorer, scored a beautiful goal against Liverpool at Anfield, and will go down as an Everton legend in regards to what he has done on the pitch for Everton Football Club. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's got the right tools and ability to be a member of Everton's board and to oversee the future of this football club. And I think that's the reason as to why a lot of Evertonians are a little bit confused about this appointment, and B, a little bit unhappy about this appointment as well, is because we all know how big of a legend Graeme Sharp is at Everton Football Club in regards to his goal scoring, in the 80s, and how pivotal of a member of that team he was. He was an absolutely unbelievable centre forward, scored some vitally important goals for Everton, and as with every other member of that 80s team, Peter Reid, Neville Southall, Pat van der Nauw, Gary Stevens, all of those players, they were all and are all Everton legends and will remain Everton legends, for the rest of history because of what they achieved at Everton Football Club. Unbelievable footballers, really, really talented squad, and a squad that will go down in the history of this football club forever and ever. Doesn't necessarily mean that they are now able to become a member of the board and take this club forward. There's a reason as to why, none of those players from the 80s are a member of Everton's board up until now. And that's probably because a lot of them understand that whilst they were fantastic footballers and knew what they were doing on the pitch, they mightn't necessarily know how to run a football club and therefore don't want that responsibility on their shoulders. Now, Graeme Sharp obviously does feel like he's got something to give to Everton and in the I suppose the future of this football club. And Bill Kenwright is right. He's been around the football club for a long, long time, so he will understand the football club. But that's not necessarily a good thing, I don't think. We've seen over the last couple of months or so with Marcel Brands leaving the football club, bringing in a new manager, the controversy surrounding the managerial appointment. The board are currently going through a strategic review of themselves, which doesn't really make much sense. I've seen it likened on social media last night to, a child marking their own homework in school and then that being taken seriously when they come in and say, "I got a 100 out of 100, I got an A." It doesn't really make much sense for a strategic review of our football club to be taking place by the people that have got us in this mess over the last 4 or 5 years. It makes no sense to me. What would have made sense is an external third party coming in and doing a strategic review of the football club and saying, you're not good enough at your job, you shouldn't be here, you don't know what you're talking about, rather than the people that have gotten us in this mess reviewing their own performance, because they're obviously not going to come to the conclusion that it's their fault, because why would they? Because that would mean that they were responsible for it, and as we know, there's absolutely no responsibility at this football club. So the appointment of Graeme Sharp, I think the club have made to try and settle fans down. I think the club have made to try and appease fans. But actually, if you look at the responses on social media and you look at the feelings of a lot of Evertonians, and I know social media isn't a full representation of every single Evertonian, and I understand that there's Evertonians out there that aren't on social media and will feel very differently about this situation, but a lot of Blues that are on social media aren't necessarily too happy with this appointment. You've seen the phrase jobs for boys being thrown about, and it does very much feel like Graeme Sharp's been put in there because of his connection with Everton Football Club rather than his ability to do the job that he is being asked to do. Now, I don't really know what the job Graeme Sharp is being asked to do, to be perfectly honest with you. A non-executive director, does that effectively mean that he's just there to give an opinion? Has he got any sort of power whatsoever when regards to, voting for things for the football club? He's not part of the executive decision-making team because he's a non-executive director. Is he just there to have another name on the list when Companies House and the government come to look at Everton's books and records within the next couple of months or so, and they realise, well, okay, Everton have allowed 2 directors to leave in the last year. Obviously, we know Marcel Brands being one of whom. However, they've replaced one of them and brought in Graeme Sharp as another director. Is Graeme Sharp purely on the board to be another name on a list? That means that Everton are less likely to be looked at, in a negative manner come the next couple of months when things start getting looked at. I don't know. Is he here to do a genuine job? Is he here to generally bring something to the table that is going to take this club forward? I don't know. And if he is, then what is that? It's all well and good saying, well, Graeme Sharp brings an extensive amount of knowledge of Everton Football Club and football, and all respect to Graeme Sharp and all respect to every one of those footballers from the 80s and all of those Everton players from that 1980s team. We sing about them, they're amazing, they're club legends, but the reality of the situation is football has changed an awful lot since the 80s, and being a successful footballing team now is much, much different to what being a successful footballing team in 1985 was. A lot has changed within the sport. A lot has changed within the management of the sport, the business of the sport. And plus, we're talking about Graeme Sharp here, who, as I said, full respect to Graeme Sharp as a footballer and as an Everton legend. He was part of that 80s side, but he wasn't the manager. He wasn't a member of the board during the 80s. He wasn't, he wasn't privy to what goes on in running a football club, or how to, make a football club a success, or how, what goes on behind the scenes to become a successful football club. He might have had a little bit of knowledge about it, but he wasn't there on the board then, was he? He was playing up front, scoring goals for Everton, which was his job at the time, and he was absolutely brilliant at doing that, and full respect to Graeme Sharp for doing that. But my point is when Everton were a success, and when Graeme Sharp was a part of Everton Football Club being a success, he wasn't a part of Everton Football Club at board level. He wasn't making decisions. He wasn't privy to what it takes to make a football club a success. He was on the pitch scoring goals. So it's almost as if Everton were going to turn around now to, I don't know, in, let's say, 10 or 15 years and give a board member's job to Romelu Lukaku because he knew what it was like to get on the pitch and score goals. That doesn't necessarily mean he knows what it's like to run a football club, or what decisions need to be made, or where we need to go in the future, what the plan needs to be, how we can achieve that. Just because you were a fantastic footballer and you often done your job on the football pitch doesn't mean that you can do that job in the boardroom, and you can be an executive or a non-executive director of the football club. Otherwise, why hasn't Peter Reid been offered the job? And if he has, why hasn't he taken it? Neville Southall. You could go through a list of players from that 80s team that were absolutely unbelievable, that haven't gone on to be managers or board, members of football clubs or executive directors, because there's a big difference between being a successful footballer and being a successful businessman, and somebody that is a member of a footballing board that can drive a club into becoming a success. And I'm not confident that Graeme Sharp will be able to do that, because Graeme Sharp's been around Everton Football Club in a not a board capacity, obviously, but certainly in a higher up capacity, an ambassador or whatever you want to say, a club players president. I think he is life president for the players or whatever. He's been around the football club for a long time, and he's overseen, you know, a number of mediocre years. And I'm not saying that that's his fault, and I'm not saying that he had any sort of responsibility in that, but he hasn't, to my knowledge, put anything in place to try and change it. He hasn't brought any knowledge to the table to try and make those changes. Maybe he has. I might be vastly wrong. Maybe Graeme Sharp has given idea after idea after idea to Everton, and they've knocked it back because he's not a member of the board. And now, you know, he will get that opportunity to bring changes, and maybe it'll be the best thing to happen to Everton Football Club in recent years. But I'm just not confident that because Graeme Sharp was a successful striker in the 80s and was absolutely brilliant and is a club legend for what he achieved on the pitch, that automatically means he's got the credentials and the experience to be a board member. You know, it seems like a very easy appointment. We need another board member. We've lost Marcel Brands. We've lost a couple of other, you know, board members for various other reasons over the last 18 months or so. The Premier League's rules, I believe, state that you need 3 directors. Now, we had that in Bill Kenwright, Denise Barrett-Baxendale and Farhad Mashiri. The club obviously wanted to build on that, so it's an easy option to go, right, who's around the club? Graeme Sharp. We'll appoint Graeme Sharp to the board and just give him a non-executive role. Is there any thought process behind it further than that? And I don't mean to be disrespectful to Graeme Sharp, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to Everton, but Graeme Sharp hasn't been a member of... It's not like we're sitting here talking about an Everton legend who was fantastic in the 80s, who's in the last 10 or 15 years gone to Brighton and been a member of their board and overseen their success and rise over the last 10 or 15 years, or been at Brentford and overseen them from going from the Championship into the Premier League. And we can sit here and go, well, okay, he's worked here, and he's shown that at board level he can make the decisions. He's got the experience. He knows what it takes to run a football club. We're looking at an ex-player who's been an ambassador, a club life president for the last 15 years, or 10, 15 years, whatever, and now he's being given that jump up to being a board member. It very much seems like just he's close to the club, employing because we need another director. And I don't think that's the best way of working, personally. As I said, I might be wrong. You know, Graeme Sharp might be able to come in and do an absolutely wonderful job, and we might be talking about a man that understands Everton and can portray that, can get that to the board. But is Graeme Sharp going to be happy with challenging Bill Kenwright and Farhad Mashiri? It's all well and good, Bill Kenwright coming out and saying we've got somebody here who will challenge, but will he challenge? Will he sit down with Farhad Mashiri and say, no, I disagree with that decision, I think you need to make this decision? And even if he does, has he got the experience and know how to be able to disagree with the other members of the board? It'd be really interesting to sit down with Graeme Sharp and say, where do you see Everton in the next 5 years? Who do you think Everton's manager should be, in a private conversation? Do you think Rafael Benitez should still be here? What level of player do you think Everton should be going for? Because, as I said, doesn't strike me like we're bringing in somebody with an awful lot of experience of running a successful football club, and that's what we need at the moment. This is what Farhad Mashiri should be spending his time doing, bringing in members, bringing in people that can become a member of the board who know how to run a football club, who know how to make a football club a success. Don't just bring anybody in because they know the club, or because they used to play for us 40 years ago or 30 years ago, or because they were a successful player. Bring somebody in who might never have known Everton Football Club, mightn't even know we exist, mightn't even know what fucking Finch Farm looks like or where it is, but I guarantee you they'll know how to run a football club. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather have somebody that has taken a previous football club and turned them into a wild success but mightn't know much about Everton, than somebody who knows an awful lot about Everton but hasn't got a fucking clue about how to make a successful football club. Because if that's the case, then just appoint me. Appoint me. I'll give you my phone number, Farhad. Appoint me, because I know an awful lot about Everton. I've loved this football club since the day I was born, and so have everybody watching this video, and so has everybody subscribed to this channel, everybody who watches Toffee TV. We've all loved this football club all of our lives. We know this football club in and out. I can guarantee you there's Blues out there who could tell you the Everton starting 11 in an FA Cup final 70, 80 years ago, from player to player to player, and how that game panned out, and they probably weren't even alive when it happened. But that doesn't mean that those people are capable enough of turning Everton Football Club from the absolute shambles that we're in at the moment to a successful Premier League challenging football club, a football club that are a Champions League side for the Champions League stadium, as Denise Barrett-Baxendale said. And this isn't a personal dig on Graeme Sharp. Graeme Sharp, from all accounts, I've met Graeme Sharp a couple of times. He's a lovely fella. He'll sit down, he'll have a conversation with you, he'll talk to you all day. And on the pitch, as I said, absolute club legend. His ability to score goals in that 80s team was a big reason as to why they were such a success. And he's you know, again, he goes down as an Everton legend, of course he does, but that doesn't mean that he's capable of taking this football club forward. I hope he is, because he's a member of the board now, so I hope he gets in, and I hope he does challenge the board. I hope he does say, well, listen, I don't think this is right, I think this should happen, but am I confident that will be the case, or am I confident he's there because it's an easy appointment? And when somebody externally looks at the books, they go, well, Everton have got 4 directors now. They've got Graeme Sharp, who was a player for them. They've got Bill Kenwright, Farhad Moshiri, and Denise Barrett-Baxendale. But is Graeme Sharp going to be the spearhead of success for Everton? I don't know, and I suppose that's why when this appointment was announced, most Evertonians sort of went, well, what's the point in that? What's his role? What's the point? You know, is he being given? This is the question you've got to ask: is if Farhad Moshiri and Bill Kenwright and Denise Barrett-Baxendale were sat round the table last week, and Graeme Sharp had applied for this job or inquired about this job, and he hadn't been such a successful player for us in the 80s, and he hadn't scored the goals that he'd scored, and he hadn't been as good as he was for Everton, would he have gotten this job? Or has he only gotten this job on the basis as to how good of a footballer he was for Everton 40 years ago? And if that's the case, then that's why he's here. He's here for his knowledge on Everton. But knowledge on Everton shouldn't mean that you're a member of the Everton board. Because ultimately, when Everton come to play Premier League games of football on the weekend, we're losing because the manager in charge is inept at making decisions and the players on the pitch are awful, going to the board and the board going, well, yeah, but I could tell you who played in an FA Cup final in 1952 or whatever. That doesn't turn you into a successful football club. So there's definitely concerns about this appointment. I think it's an interesting one. Graeme Sharp absolutely no doubt knows the club in and out. He's been around the club for a long time, and hopefully now he's being given a position to have a say. Hopefully he'll say, right, well, this person, and this person needs to go because they're not about bad news. And now he's being given his platform, he'll be able to speak out about that. Or we need to bring this type of person in, we need to bring this type of person in. Let's hope that is the case. As I said, he definitely knows the club. He seems like a lovely fella, and he's definitely somebody that has extensive knowledge on Everton. But that doesn't make you somebody capable of taking a football club forward. Let's just hope that he's got other qualities and experiences that will ensure that. But we'll wait and see, won't we? We'll wait and see. Let us know your thoughts on this one in the comments section down below. A little bit of a mad appointment for me. Again, absolutely nothing against Graeme Sharp, but I just don't really understand it. But let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. It does only take a second. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Massive thank you all for watching, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues. Cheers for watching. See you after.